It's time to get out of pocket. I'm your host, Michael Davis. You can see at the bottom, Out of Pocket is back Thursday, but it's a very special Thursday. And for no other reason, but we got the go ahead to have Mouth Off with Mike on. We got the go ahead to have the guy who cooks up a lot of stuff other than good sports takes. We got Aaron Schneider in the building. We might have another guest here in just a few moments. The light is shining bright on me, by the way, guys, for no other reason than it's my birthday. So I'm going to try to get
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, President Davis. Happy birthday to you.
You know what? That was totally off script. That was
props for that. I thought about jumping in to help you, but I'm good on that.
That was honestly so great. I would love to be serenaded by Mike as I go to sleep. It might help with my insomnia. That's
why you listen to the nightcap at night. So you put my soothing voice puts you right to a nice lull.
Are you saying that your content makes people fall asleep?
Oh, see, Aaron, this is, sir. You know what? Fine, you got me there. I mean, Shannon fell asleep that one time, so I guess it's fair.
Hey, you know what? We cure insomnia here at Boom Podcast. You guys can also be a part of our show. Derek Pauly saying happy birthday, Mike. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Pauly. Thank you guys for tuning in. And some people like to take their birthday off. And yes, I did take my birthday off for my other job, but this is one of my favorite parts of the day. I wanted to talk some sports with you guys. So wanted to start first with these comments, especially since we have our Eagles guy here on the show. Jalen Hurts says he felt halted in terms of responsibility with pass protection because Jason Kelce, probably one of the better centers of our generation, was playing and blocking for him. Obviously, Jason Kelce was, reading the defenses, and now Jason Kelce's not there. Cam Jurgens is probably hopping into that spot week 1 when the Eagles play. I would honestly say Jalen Hurts might have more responsibility, and that's good. And we'll talk about Tom Brady's comments about quarterback responsibility here in a few minutes. But, dude, Mike, I don't know if halted is the right word to use when talking about a former teammate, especially a guy who protected you. Maybe you want to show a little bit more appreciation with your work. I just feel like he could have phrased this a whole lot differently. How did you take your quarterback's remarks?
I feel like they're kind of being taken out of context. I feel like the proper word may not have been used. Halted may not be the proper word, but I also feel like the reporters that, report on this kind of stuff are also kind of taking this, a little out of context. I think he means in the sense of like, not necessarily halted. I think he means in the sense of like, he didn't really have to worry too much about it, right? Last year, you have a guy like Jason Kelce blocking for you. He's your center. You have less to worry about. I think this year it's the battle of a new center. You mentioned his name, Cam, right? He's been, training for years under Jason Kelce. They've known from the time that they drafted him that he was going to inevitably be in that position. And I think it's more so of a sentiment to kind of look at when Hurts is speaking, in the sense of like, he now has to put this on his plate and ensure that he's keeping an eye on everything. And he has more responsibility now in the backfield that Jason Kelce kind of helped alleviate for him to kind of take off his plate, because he could trust in the fact that Kelce's there for him now, in the sense of, you're bringing a guy in. He's been training for years to be in that role, but he definitely still has to kind of keep his head on a swivel now, and he has to have that additional responsibility. So I feel like it could go either way. I just feel like they want to nitpick because the Eagles, have the potential to be a team that goes far in the season this year and into the playoffs. So I feel like the Eagles are always under a microscope the last couple of years since, Jalen Hurts, since Sirianni, since our Super Bowl appearance. I wouldn't read too much into this, Eagle fans. Of course, Mike, the Cowboy fan, will, but my fellow Eagle fans, I wouldn't worry about this.
Well, and it's interesting you mentioned like the Eagles potentially, being one of those contenders late in the year. I did my NFL season predictions on Tuesday's episode of Out of Pocket. And just knowing the NFC East doesn't have repeat division winners, I just gave it to the Eagles by default because there ain't nobody putting the Giants there. And Washington, you never know what you're going to get from Washington. Max saying NFL players' words out of context. Surely not.
Surely not. Right. Surely not.
Surely not. Aaron, when you think about Jalen Hurts taking over these center responsibilities, I know you study quarterbacks a lot, especially when they're coming out into the draft. And then, continuously evaluate guys as they keep going. Do you think Jalen Hurts is ready for this added responsibility on the field?
I definitely think he will be. I'm excited to see how he does without having Kelsey to call the protection. But I mean, playing with Jason Kelsey for as long as he did, there's no way that he hasn't picked up on how to read a defense from arguably the greatest center of our generation, like you said earlier.
Yeah, it would be tough to replace what Jason Kelsey exactly did for that Eagles offensive line and just that Eagles offense in general. Yeah, heck, the locker room. Like, he was a locker room leader, and we know in any sport with any team, when your locker room leader leaves, somebody else has to step up. So Jalen Hurts also has to step up in that role as well. And there was a quarterback, arguably the greatest of all time, Tom Brady. He has more Super Bowls than any NFL team. That's a wild stat. You put that on your resume, and obviously you get a color commentating job at Fox Sports. So kudos to Tom in his new endeavors. He'll be commentating the Cowboys-Browns game week 1. And I'll do the Dad and the Boys podcast tomorrow afternoon at 12 with my dad. But Tom Brady made some comments about quarterbacks, and I mean, we'll just tell it. Like, he said he had to learn so much, and he was responsible at the line of scrimmage of like, hey, if I don't like this play, I can audible out of it. But he's like, a lot of times the quarterbacks nowadays are just going up the line with the play the coach called, and even if the defense is taking it out, they're like, oh, well, we're just going to run it. Mike, obviously there's not a Tom Brady in the NFL right now. Maybe the closest thing you could do is Patrick Mahomes. I know you're a big Brady guy, Mike. I know you're a big Brady guy. We're just saying
I'm not anti-Brady.
But do you think Tom Brady has a point in terms of the current state of quarterbacks not being able to be like a Peyton Manning or a Drew Brees or a Ben Roethlisberger? What do you make of these comments?
Well, I think this is a twofold kind of look here, because I feel like, ownership doesn't give players time to develop, right? They're quick to move on from a quarterback, from a player, if they feel that they're not hitting that timeline for their development, right? We've seen a lot of players where, they get cut from one team, another team sees the talent, picks them up, gives them a chance to develop, and then they become, an all-pro player in the league, right? It's happened in the past. It'll happen in the future. I do agree with Brady in the sense of you can't rush the rookie quarterbacks into the game, into the starting lineup if they're not ready. If they are ready, if they look good, if they're picking up, if they're building chemistry with their teammates, if they're picking up the playbook, if they're picking up those reads on defense, if they are able to call those audibles and kind of develop around the game itself, then I don't see an issue as to why you don't let rookies play in that rookie season. I mean, we're going to see Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix this year, two guys that I think they should play in their rookie years, especially for the franchises that they're playing in. So I agree with Brady in the sense, like, don't rush them into it if they're not ready. But if they're ready and your options are far and few in between, I say do it. Why not?
Well, that was I mean, and I agree. And Mike has to get going, but he wanted to hop on for my birthday. So is there any 2 words and a certain hand gesture you would like to leave the Out of Pocket audience with?
I mean, too sweet. Too sweet. Happy birthday. Go Eagles. And much love to the press here, Michael Davis. Ladies and gentlemen, he's a great guy. I'll peel the curtain back here real quick before I got to go. We met about a year ago via social media, both 2 mics with a wrestling podcast. He hits me up. He's like, we got to collab. You're a Mike. I'm a Mike. We both like wrestling. And the rest has been history. Mike's a great guy. Mike keeps me grounded in reality. I may be a little crazy. I may be mouthing off with Mike. But Michael Davis here and drop the mic. He's the real Mike that you want to follow. So happy birthday, my brother. I love you. I love you like my own brother. I can't wait to finally head on down. Give you a big old too sweet or a hug. Maybe a little kiss on the cheek. We'll see. We'll see if we're feeling crazy. If it's after the nightcap time. But happy birthday, my man. Aaron, Mike, have a great show today. I'm out of here, folks.
Hey, appreciate you. More appreciate the kind words and the fact that we can finally get that Eagles shirt off of the screen.
Wow, there you go.
It's vanishing. Not the 2 words and not the hand gesture I thought he was going to give. Maybe I'll give that at the very end of this show, but we had to get Mike out of there. Appreciate him taking just 10 minutes out of his day to hop on and celebrate my birthday with us. Aaron, with these Tom Brady comments, and especially throwing rookies out there before they're ready. I mean, the Patriots decided just today that Jacoby Brissett is going to be starting week 1 over Drake May. I mean, dude, there might be a lot of truth when it comes to what Tom Brady said. I mean, after all, he is the GOAT, whether you guys like it or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I absolutely agree with what he said. I think there is a lot of pressure for rookie quarterbacks to go out there and start off the jump. Even Drake May's looked good so far in the preseason, and even if he looked good enough to start, in my opinion, but I still think it's good to give him a few weeks to actually acclimate. The last time I feel like we saw a super talented quarterback sit for a year was Patrick Mahomes behind Alex Smith. I believe he started the last 2 games of his rookie year, and it turned out great. I mean, not everyone's going to play that phenomenally after sitting for your rookie year, but it can't possibly hurt to let them sit 3-4 weeks, give them a quarter of a season to get more acclimated, maybe get them some late game reps to see some live plays. But it's too common to rush someone into a situation that they're not ready for.
Yeah, and that's true. Like, you could destroy a quarterback's confidence. I mean, you look at the Carolina Panthers last year when it comes to the Panthers and Bryce Young. He was obviously first overall pick. You didn't have anyone else behind him, so they're like, "Hey, we're starting you week 1," and then you just see him get killed. Behind that offensive line, you look at the Indianapolis Colts, what they had behind Anthony Richardson, and his was literally, getting hurt and his rookie season being over before it ever really got started. You can really hurt a quarterback psyche when it comes to that. But I do miss growing up in the days of, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger, Peyton Manning, Phillip Rivers, when those guys would go up to the line and they'd be like, "Hey, I can see this defense. I know exactly what's coming. Let me audible out." And it just felt like guys like Tom Brady, for example, would no matter what, you knew they were going to be a problem on offense, and you had to, either match it point for point, like the Cowboys did back in 2013, 2014 against the Broncos, that 51-48. Fun story about that. I got super excited when the Cowboys would score. And so my tradition at the time, I don't know if I've ever told you this, Aaron, but I'm telling you and the rest of the people on Out of Pocket, I suppose. I got super excited. I was like in middle school at the time, I think, maybe early high school. And when the Cowboys would score a touchdown, I would act like the door was a person, and I would just give them a bunch of fist pumps and, high five the door, whatever I want. Well, the high fives were starting to hurt a little bit. And the Cowboys were putting up a lot of points that game. And it was late third quarter. And I remember punching the door. And this was the door to not our outside, but the next door up. So very visible, one of the most visible doors. And I'm hitting it. And all of a sudden I see my fist go through, and I'm just and so, I'm like, okay, I'm probably getting in trouble for this. I go back and, Cowboys score a couple more touchdowns, I believe. And, I go back over there and I'm beating it very lightly at this point. And then the game ends, Cowboys lose. So I'm obviously upset. And my mom walks by and she's like, who did this? I'm like, it was my brother, 100%. Well, that door ends up getting replaced with my closet door, which my closet door is right beside me, hanging a couple Cowboys pennants from that me and my dad sit in front of for Dad and the boys. But that door still exists, just not in the same place. Speaking of, he says, welcome salary cap. No time to sit and develop. That's true, Aaron, because then you end up in the situation like the Packers do, and you have to pay Jordan Love off a very small sample size.
Yeah, it's just a tricky situation because if Jordan Love had to start his rookie year, I don't know if he plays as well as he does. So I feel like that's a good example of, hey, you let a talented quarterback who has traits that can make them successful, let them sit behind a good veteran quarterback. I mean, you got to learn from Aaron Rodgers, who's great. I hope he does well with the Jets this season. But yeah, it's just tricky. Because if you sit them for 2-3 years, they play great, then you're going to have to pay them stupid money off of a year or two of production, which is very risky.
Yeah, I mean that's a risk you end up running. Sean, wish me a happy birthday. Appreciate you, Sean. He dropped his It Stinks earlier today. If we have any Big Brother fans watching, I know there's a couple people out there because I've gotten personal text messages about his show because they're Big Brother fans. So if you're watching this, like Big Brother, hop on over. It's like a 12, 13-minute episode, if I recall, from earlier today. But Aaron, we did fantasy football draft last week. It was 2.5 hours long. I had a blast. Had a lot of fun, hanging out with you guys on one of these shows. It's up on the Boom Broadcasting YouTube channel for anyone who wants to go through it. And so I wanted to display some of these fantasy football teams in our redraft league. And so we used ESPN Fantasy in order to do that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen. I'm going to share our league rosters. And Aaron, since you're the guy on, I want to go through these rosters. A8 Club is myself. You're good, I'm better. Not true is our guy Ben from the Camper Report. Glitches Get Stitches, I believe it's podcast_Smitty, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
I might be wrong because he doesn't have CD Lamb. I thought Shannon drafted CD Lamb.
No, he got stuck with AJ Brown. He accidentally bid on him or something.
Oh, it was AJ
spent
Brown.
way too much.
Hey, I mean, you got AJ Brown, Deebo Samuel. I'm not complaining at all. Go Birds is John Cox. Team Lombardi Party without I think you guys can put that two and two together. Team Cordray again, put 2 and 2 together. Joseph Camperman's team right here. Esteban Serrano's team right here. My fellow Cowboys friend. We got the Gabagool. We got Mouth Off with Mike. He was just on. The Rockers 2.0, I believe, is our guy Sean, who just wished me a happy birthday. Learning Tree, obviously Wayne Thomas, the model right there. But dude, I want to talk about this. I want to talk about your team name is Out of Pocket, future Hall of Famer Cam Newton. Cam Newton is not a Hall of Famer.
Look, we already went over this like a year ago. I believe it. I think we had Shannon on that episode. It was you, me, and Shannon, and we've been over this. You can go find the episode Out of Pocket with me, Shannon, and Michael from like a little over a year ago, but he just is. I hope it happens. I don't think he's going to be first ballot, but I think he gets in. We'll just leave it at that.
It would be gross. I mean, he had 2 good years and nothing else. It was his rookie year. It was his MVP year. I don't believe he's a future Hall of Famer. Another thing I want to say I don't believe in is your team. CJ Stroud, really good pickup. Obviously, Joe Mixon, I think, is an underrated pickup. When you think of Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's an obvious top tier receiver on this team. And Cowboys defense, like you got some good ones. You got a couple good people on your bench. Raheem Mostert. You got Keon Coleman, who I think is going to have a really good year with Buffalo. But then you have guys who are like Keenan Allen, who's going to share the load with, Romeo Odunze, who will share the load with DJ Moore. And he also gets hurt a lot. David Montgomery, he's splitting the backfield reps with Jahmyr Gibbs. Drake London. I've put my faith in Drake London before. Not entirely sure. How did you feel when it came to the team you drafted? Were you pleased with it? What were your thoughts?
I like it. It's not what I wanted, to be quite frank. As a running back too, I like David Montgomery. I think it's a little risky. I need to bank on him to just steal touchdowns from Jahmyr Gibbs, which he did a lot last year. And that's the main reason he had any fantasy value, because I don't see him getting a lot of passing down reps, because Jahmyr Gibbs is a significantly better player as a pass catcher. Drake London at wide receiver too. I feel really confident in that. Kirk Cousins is probably the best quarterback that he's had so far. I think he'll put up solid numbers. Keenan Allen, he felt just like a solid pick. Like, I can count on him to get me like 10 to like maybe 14 points a week, but he won't do anything exceptional because he's going to be splitting touches with DJ Moore and Rome Odunze. So I'm not expecting much out of him, just to be a solid flex option. And Keon Coleman's going to be good. I like Tyler Lockett too. Matt Stafford, I hope he can still keep playing great. He was pretty amazing last year. Hopefully he stays healthy. And Raheem Mostert splitting touches with Devon Achane, but I still think he'll be solid. Overall, I'm happy with the team, but there's a few guys I missed on that I wish I could have gotten, like a slightly more solid running back too, that I can count on to do more than just steal touchdowns, and maybe slightly better running back depth too. That's where I think my main problem is running back.
I would say, like, I like Joe Mixon. I like Mostert. I believe Mostert had the most touchdowns last year. Like, it was crazy, even splitting the carries with Achane and splitting.
But he got hurt. Yeah, Achane got hurt, so that's a whole nother thing. And Mostert's 32 now. Like, running backs don't always play very well once you get north of 30.
And we're doing a dynasty draft right now, and you gotta factor in, hey, is this guy going to be in the league 3 years from now? More so in the redraft when it's just one season and done. You did pretty well in the fantasy team last year.
I did. I got second. I think I lost the championship by like 20, 25 points or something. It was really close. That was disappointing.
I wish I had been the one to beat him, but I also just enjoy bringing up, like, hey, you did pretty good in fantasy, just because it reminds me.
Hey, look, I won money. Didn't you miss the playoffs? So, yeah, let's talk about that. I at least won money.
Out of pocket.
I made a profit.
You did. You doubled your money. That will be the second place award that, you might get this year, but you're not getting the first place. That goes to me, which brings me to my team up here, the 88 Club. I got Caleb Williams right now, Derrick Henry. Guys, people sleeping on Derrick Henry and what the Baltimore Ravens are going to do with him and Lamar Jackson. Like, it's almost game over at that point. Josh Jacobs, I thought, was a really good snag. Justin Jefferson, DJ Moore, and Travis Kelce are probably the three most proud options I have on this team. Like that, I absolutely adore and love that. I do have three quarterbacks on my roster. I got Caleb Williams, I got Tua, I got Brock Purdy. All three guys I feel like I can count on. I got Ezekiel Elliott for my red zone, end zone. He is going to get 11 touchdowns this year. I don't think people understand that. And people are like, oh, they just got Dalvin Cook. Dalvin's on the practice squad right now, by the way. Second of all, Ezekiel Elliott is the goal line back. Ezekiel Elliott's going to get 11 touchdowns. Aaron, you made a face. Why'd you make that face?
I don't have that much faith in Zeke, honestly. I really don't. I think he'll be solid. Like, it's not a bad pickup. I'm not gonna say like 11 touchdowns solid, but I could see him getting 7 maybe. But I'm thinking maybe like 800 yards, 7 touchdowns, solid season for someone his age. He's going back to a familiar team, but I'm not super high on him.
Well, I can't wait for 2-3 months time, and we can look back at this episode. You want to keep recalling episodes and be like, hey, Aaron was wrong. And you know what? That's okay. Because your fantasy team was wrong. And, my fantasy team was right. Also have a lot of speed. Jameson Williams, Marquise Brown, Xavier Worthy. Really like what I did in the receiver department. And Jonathan Brooks will come back from IR. So I'll have to drop somebody at some point or trade somebody away. But that's what I'm looking at. Dad saying Brian Aubrey, he's noticing I picked up the Cowboys kicker, which I actually spent money on. So this was an auction draft, guys. This wasn't a snake draft. Nobody got screwed based on draft position. So I was like, hey, I'm going to build up some money, and I'm going to go after the kicker I want. Brandon Aubrey's the kicker I wanted. And when it comes to the auction drafts, Aaron, was this your first time doing the auction draft?
It was my second time ever doing an auction draft. The first time, I believe it was 2017, and this was coming off of David Johnson's year where he had 1,000 rushing yards, 1,000 receiving yards. And like, okay, this is the guy that I'm going to drop big money on. He's going to be great. I think I spent it might have been like 70. I think I might have dropped like high 60s, maybe $70 on David Johnson. He gets hurt, I think first drive or like early in week 1. And that was devastating. And I don't think I checked that team the rest of the year because I spent big money on David Johnson. Like, oh, he's out for the year. I'm done. I ignored the league and never touched an auction draft again.
Wow. Until now.
Yep, until now.
So were you pleased with the auction draft process? Would you?
I was. I feel like I just know more about the NFL now. Like, I follow it more closely than I did. This was back in early high school, I think, is what it was. But yeah, I can just pay more attention to it now, and I'm more confident in my team. So if Amon-Ra gets hurt for the year in week 1, I'm not going to abandon ship because I'm confident enough in the team that I got.
Yeah, we'll keep a close eye on these rosters as we go throughout the season, and we might do some content for fantasy football and other things coming up down the pipeline. So be sure that you're staying tuned to the Boom Broadcast and socials to see what we have cooking up, because we're going to be making some announcements, some big announcements really, really, really soon, what you can expect. But Thank you, Mike, for hopping in. Thank you, Aaron, for hopping in. Thank you guys for watching Boom Broadcasting, for watching Out Pocket, and celebrating my birthday with me. I really appreciate it. Out Pocket will be back tomorrow, 5:30 p.m. Eastern time, right here. And I'm not asking for, money. I'm not asking for, all these gift cards. I'm not asking for all these toys. I'm not asking for a new car, SUV, Chevrolet Mustang. I'm not asking for them. You can obviously send them. But if you do want to make my birthday, just share this with, whoever. Like if you're not subscribed, share it with 3 friends, because I really enjoy talking about my passions. I know several people on the Boom Broadcasting team does as well. And I just want to support people who are, genuine with their content creation, and super excited that, we get a platform to do it here. Talking sports, talking wrestling, talking, life. Aaron's about to do his cooking show here soon. So there's a lot of stuff to support. And if you guys want to make my birthday special, just subscribe, share it with somebody who's not subscribed, and we'll really appreciate that. We're really close to 400 subscribers. So it's been quite the ride, almost 2 months into the project. But guys, Out Pocket will be back tomorrow. I'll let Aaron go. Mike did the Irish goodbye earlier, but this has been Out of Pocket, and we can't wait to see you back here tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time.